All right, we need to talk about this deck because this deck works surprisingly well on paper, and like the hottest of garbage online. This is my effective investments deck. This is basically Steve wanted to play with Alan Sovereign really badly and forced it. So this is Alan Sovereign playing a bunch of venture investments along with a bunch of venture anti-Tribu. Neighbor John is our primary. Heft is really good if we can get her out. Louis is very good if we can get her out. The other two vampires are just kind of there. Is filler because you want more to pump up the venture investment. Playing the other copy of Alan Sovereign because we want Alan to basically count as a venture anti-Tribu when we do our investments. So 6 venture investment. Venture investments under Alan can also be used to not only give us pool, but also to pay for equipment. So we're running a bit of an equipment package here. We're running a Bowl of Convergence. We're running 4 Desert Eagle, which in my paper version is actually still sawed-off shotgun. We're running 1 Garrote, which isn't in the paper version, and 1 Nightstick, which isn't in the paper version. I have not had either of these really come up in combat yet. The last time I played this online, I didn't draw a weapon at all. I think the Garrote's probably not good here, but I wanted to give it a shot in those weird fringe scenarios where you might be able to get a ashing of a vampire, but it's probably not going to end up occurring ever that way. The Abbot count seems to be really good in paper, not so good online. I don't know why my Abbot has been functionally useless online when it's not like I'm playing against some difference in the amount of stealth slash de-action meta. We've got our paper trio. It is a trio, so I will admit this is maybe doing better because it's 3-player consistency, but one of the games it won in paper was 4 players, so your mileage may vary. But when it's not relevant, I don't really care because I usually get the unlock. When it is relevant, it's been super relevant in paper, but online it has been the worst of both worlds. Playing some Legacy, this card has only ever worked for me once, twice maybe. The rest of the time, I keep getting Alan in my opening Crypt, especially online. Like, it's Alan and Alan is part of my 4. Very bizarre and very not what we're after each time, but it is what it is. I'd be less annoyed actually if I got him off of an effective management, which we do run 4 of, because we do have such a variety of vampires, and we do want to try to push ourselves past Alan. And well, sometimes wider view is good for getting us to that point. We do end up with, like I talked about, that starting uncontrolled region that has your base Alan in it and an advanced Alan, and you definitely don't want to be burning away them with wider view, and you definitely don't want to be burning any of the rest of the vampires that are in this Crypt. Playing Demonstration because it can be like a very good vote changer situationally. We're also playing Framing Ancient Grudge, largely because this card is relevant for anti-Primogen tech, which I think that Protected District is easily one of the best anti-bleed and anti-vote cards that has been printed. I think that it's on par with most deflection or other bounce metas, and in some cases even better. So I'm playing Framing Ancient Grudge. You may not want to. It's also good tech against anybody that wants to parity shift or anybody that wants to Alistair without Inner Circle members. It is 3 pool to take the title from a Justicar, but you'll find that if you're playing it against a deck that is, let's say, like Anson and Guns, being able to burn the 3 pool off of not Alexandra, but the other one, Arika, is a very, very useful thing because now Anson can't go get some kind of larger tier weapon. So I think Framing is a very useful card. Other people disagree. I think it depends on what you run into a lot, but it's well worth giving a try. And it's a single card slot, so if it doesn't work, just pitch it. The rest of the deck the rest of the stuff is pretty straightforward. A Hunting Ground, Power Base Montreal, another Hunting Ground, because you got both. A bunch of Governs to try to bring out our vampires faster, which usually is a working strategy. We play these along with Dawn Operation. Because if we get into a situation where we're in combat, where somebody does block and we play a Dawn Operation, we're good. We don't worry about this because we've got cards like Skin of Steel, Soak, and, well, not Soak when we're in that situation, but Skin of Steel and Martyr's Resilience. So we've got ways to survive combat, no problem. We're also playing a few concealed weapons to sneak these items out just in case we need them. Playing a handful of freak drives, a handful of conditionings as well to make sure that when we use these, when we turn these governs from cards to help pull out the flood into bleed cards, we can bleed for quite a bit, or we can get a sneaky little bleed of 1 that turns into a bleed of 4 or 3, depending upon the vampire we're bleeding with. And it is very important to think about who you're bleeding with. You do not want to put Alan in a situation where he accidentally gets burned because he bled for 4. Try to leave your bleeds of 4 in Hefta, maybe, but you may end up finding, like I have, Hefta's a lot better than you think she is. There have been times I've thought about taking the Crypt up to 15 vampires just to add a few more small vamps in here. Additionally, we're running some deflections. You need to run some eagle sights. It sometimes is helpful. A couple of enhanced senses and Eyes of Argus. Obviously, I feel like this is an auto-include for Auspex, which is kind of a rough thing, but I get it. The same thing with enhanced senses. If you're going to have any sort of intercept package, you need to have enhanced senses. And then a couple of poison pill, because even with some of the political control that we have, it's still not necessarily good enough to stop a real political deck. Overall, this deck has served me better than I would expect. I don't think it's tier 1 by any stretch, and it is definitely a work in progress, but I think it's time that I take it out of just my hands and I bring this deck to all of you and ask for some feedback on it. Aside from saying the deck is shit, because I don't think the deck is incredible, I would like some interesting thoughts, opinions, and ideas on this. I've looked at a lot of cards, and I think I've reached a kind of point of choice paralysis or just simply data overwhelming. So your thoughts are very well appreciated, but other than that, thank you all for your time. Take care.